There is inequality of service, there's inequality of taxation, and there's very little oversight, and it costs too much, and nobody knows who they are. They operate under the radar screen. We've had many newspaper articles talking about these issues. Statewide, there were 74 townships out of the 1,008 which reported they provided no quarterly service for the year. You have 3 of those here in Allen County. There were 400 townships that reported that they served fewer than 10 families per year. What are they doing? I mean, they're 12 months out of the year, so they're serving 1 family almost every month. 566 granted poor relief to fewer than 20 families a year. I don't think that is a full-time job. And we all know that there is rampant nepotism in township government. It has been prohibited in every other layer of government except for townships. Now, in the township bill that's going through, there's some very important facts that are still there. We hear reports that it was just totally decimated. That's not true. We didn't get everything we wanted, but we got some very important oversight. The oversight function is that county councils will now have binding authority over the budgets of townships. County councils have public meetings. They give notice of those meetings. And public attends those meetings, as does the media. None of those things are true for most townships. So that is very important, to bring the budgets to light and to have information to compare one township's operations to the others and to the state. The bill also abolishes nepotism, and it determines that townships would have no more than 10% of their total disbursements in a cash balance account. That's what the state has. That's the $1.3 million that Governor Daniels is trying to protect from the legislature. That's the 10% cash balance that you need for protection against downfalls in the economy. And many townships have more than 100% of their disbursements from year to year in their cash balances. We have, in 2007, township budgets were $400 million, roughly. Townships carry an additional $203 million in their cash balances. These are our dollars, and we say either spend them or give them back to us. The library bill is still going through, that's Senate Bill 348. The objective initially was to have 1 library system per county, as you have here in Allen County. But as the deliberations went forward, it was determined that we might actually need 236 library systems in the state, and that what we really needed was a study process within the county. And so the implementation process for this is that county communities will, the county council, I think, or the commissioners, will appoint members of a library study committee to make sure that they meet statewide standards for the 21st century, and that they can determine whether or not they want to go to a single library system. We think we'd like to see some changes made, but we're at least satisfied that there's going to be a lot of discussion in 92 counties. The last bill I want to quickly go through is the Elections Bill 452, an immensely important bill. It moves municipal elections to non-presidential years instead of having an additional election year just for municipalities. That will save us statewide $22 million every 4 years. Is that important? Well, I'd say so. I think that makes a lot of sense. It moves the school board elections to the fall. You know, primary elections are not to elect someone to an office. Therefore, the 2 political parties to appoint someone to run in the fall. And it makes no sense to have the most important function we have in the state, which is educating our kids. It makes no sense to have those boards elected when you have such small turnouts in the primary election. So those would be moved to the fall. And another important factor is that employees who or employees in a political subdivision cannot run for office in that same subdivision. They can go to someplace else, but they can't oversee their own salaries or working conditions. The last part of that bill is to establish voting centers, to allow counties the option to establish voter centers, which will really provide greater efficiencies and access to voting on election day. Those are the bills that are moving through the House now, or we hope are moving through the House. With your help, maybe we can get them moving through the House. But they are at least alive and ready for both House action and conference committee action. In closing, let me say that throughout this has been a really tough process. And a lot of people have had their feelings hurt. They've been insulted by the fact that they hold an office that we want to abolish. This is not about personalities. This is about structure of government. And we know that we are facing really hard times in this country and in this state. And in order to get to where we need to be, we need to spend our money for vital services that give us the best opportunity to grow our economy that we can. And we think these measures are really very important. Thank you very much.